You know, I should ask you about what happened in New Orleans in the NFC title game there, where, you know, we're trying to change the officiating, the approach to the game, everything. I don't know if there's been one of those calls in NBA history where we went, oh, my God, you just changed the course of a season or a championship. Or do you remember anything as egregious as this?
I can only speak from experience, and no one will probably remember this, and I want Paulie to pull this up as I'm speaking. This was not as egregious as the call in New Orleans. That was a non-call. But a call against us versus the New York Knicks, Larry Johnson's four-point play in the Garden was a disgrace. I'm dead serious. That was a disgrace because Antonio Davis fouled him on the floor, and again, the rules were a little bit different back then. For them to call that a four-point play and then for us to lose that game, because we went on, I believe that was game one. We ended up winning game two in the Garden. We really should have been up 0-2 and coming home. And we ended up losing that series because in the playoffs, the margin of error is very low. And we still ended up losing that series, but I hearken back to that four-point play, and it was a great shot by LJ, but it wasn't a four-point play. And that non-call in the Dome, and I looked at it from a different angle. There were two zebras on that play, one in front and one in back. And for them both to swallow the flag, that has to sting those players. That has to sting that fan base.
Yeah.
Because that's game. Game is over.
Yeah.
They are headed to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I'm watching the continuation with Larry Johnson. I think it's a good call.
It's not a four-point play.
I think it's a good call, Reg.
You think that's a good play? Don't get me riled up.
Come on. Move on. Move on. It's time to move on from this. Reg, you pushed off on Greg Anthony at the Garden.
He slipped. He fell. Pull it up, Paulie. Look how he goes to the ground. He lost his footing.
You nudged him. You gave him a hardened nudge.
And you could get away with that back then.
That'd be a flagrant one. Oh, my God. Poor Greg Anthony.
There was contact. I will agree with you that there was contact, Theodore.
Okay, what was worse, Jordan pushing off on Russell to hit the game-winning shot against the Jazz, or you pushing little Greg Anthony to the floor?
What looks worse is because Greg Anthony is 5 inches smaller than I, so it looks like me picking on, high school picking on a middle school kid. At least Russell and Jordan were about the same height, so it didn't look as bad. Okay. But that was pretty bad. Come on, Jordan. You know what you did.
And that was in Utah, Reg, don't you?
In Utah. But again, officials swallow their whistle. At least they used to. Greg Anthony going down. They weren't going to call that. They swallow their whistle. The four-point play by LJ. It's game on. Players decide the games. As much as I'm upset about that four-point play, they swallow their whistle, usually.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.